Right, we're back in. Myself, JFT, LT, Sweet Boxing Science. Thanks for joining us, guys. As always, we're looking at the co-main for the Wood versus Warrington 2 card now, live on the Zone on Saturday. We've got Ishmael Davis defending his British and Commonwealth Super Welterweight Championships against Bilal Fawaz, who was English champion. He beat Junaid Bostan in that rematch.
Me! I won! Me! I won!
Oh, it's class. Yeah, best reaction ever.
God love him.
The fight. Yeah, love Bilal Fawaz. Got a great story, hasn't he, as well? I think it just seems like an all-round good guy, but so does Ish as well. And,
yeah,
you know,
they're both decent.
They are, yeah. I know, Jay, you've got a friendship with Ishmael Davis. And look,
strangely enough, yeah.
Yeah. He fulfilled his destiny at last time out, didn't he? Beating Sam Gilly for the British
underdog named opponent. Really,
yeah, underdog against Gilly's a good fight. It was a good win.
It was his home football ground. You know, it wasn't for
him.
It was but actually, he was brought in as a Spurs guy, as the champion, and he was coming off 3 defeats. I thought he beat a Jarko. I'm not going to lie.
I thought it was hard done to against a Jarko as well. We watched that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Boachuk short notice. Didn't disgrace himself.
Josh
I think
Kelly,
one or two more rounds. That performance is aging like a fine wine. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Josh Kelly was hanging on for dear life. So
I think it was Troy before Josh Kelly.
And I was talking about this last night with Jams. I went on Jams and was talking about it last night. And as much as Troy is my favourite fighter by default, and Ishmael Davis beat him fairly comfortably, albeit at 154, and Troy's now 2 weight divisions above and should be the European, but he's definitely the British and Commonwealth champion. And Ishmael Davis beat him. There was no arguing that result. So he was, for me, brought in as a named opponent, and he ripped the title away from the champion. There was no scandal. There was no ifs and buts. He beat the champion, good and proper, and he deserves this now. He deserves his flowers. But he's in a tough fight on paper. But for me, it is a tough fight on paper alone. I think we possibly might see levels at the weekend.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. I mean, we just said that Ish was brought in, wasn't he, as the named opponent for Sam Gilly. And, the only reason Ishmael Davis got the fight is 5 weeks before he fought at Elland Road in one of the banqueting suites there in a 6-rounder against a 1-15 opponent, I think it was, just so he could then be eligible with a victory for the British title. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So and then he went in and he done the performance against Sam Gilly. And if I recall rightly, after 6-7 rounds, I had Gilly winning. It was close, it was tight, but you looked as if Gilly had more gears to go through, and it looked like Ishmael had already hit his peak, didn't it, at that point in the fight? It was a cracking fight. And you mentioned it at the top, Sam. He's finally achieved his destiny. He's finally a British champion. Bilal Fawaz hasn't achieved that destiny yet. We joke about his reaction to winning the English title, but that was for him a step on the journey. Off the back of that, Eddie's given him a 3-fight deal. He wasn't necessarily expecting the British title fight to come next. Everyone thought Ish would take a voluntary, didn't they? But he's gone straight in with his mandatory. If Ishmael Davis is slightly not there on the night, Bilal Fawaz, despite the fact he's 37, 7 years older, hasn't been in at the same level. The British title fights do funny things to people. They are the pinnacle for boxers that know that they're never going to get to the top level. Bilal Fawaz probably knows at 37 he's never going to get to world level. This is his world title on Saturday night, and that's, for me, where I'm leaning with the fight. Ishmael Davis has been there, done that. He's now a British champion. I'm not saying he won't be hungry for it, but, he's reached what he's wanted to achieve for a long time. Is there a slight drop in, anticipation, etc.?
For me personally, and this is just opinion, this is not inside scoop. I think this is we're going to see a motivation like we've never seen from Ishmael Davis, because we talk about Fawaz and his journey and the immigrant story and whatnot, but let's not forget that Ishmael Davis has come from the gutter, basically, and that's no disrespect to him. He's from inner city Leeds. He was raised around, crime and violence and guns and murder, and he was a father at 14. I think he's got 4 or 5 kids, and prison, sat in a prison cell and whatnot. So he was destined for failure. And yes, he didn't expect to get where he was, and the dream was to win the British title. But I think when he boxed the likes of Boachuk, and especially when he boxed Josh Kelly, and then got diddled, really, some would say, against Ajako. I think he knows he deserves to be at that level and some, especially now that Josh Kelly's just gone on and beat the boogeyman, the bogeyman that nobody wanted to fight, and Josh Kelly's beat him, and he's got to be sat there thinking, hold on a second, if I'd have had a couple more rounds or more of a camp, let's not forget he came in at the last minute instead of Liam Smith for that fight, so didn't have full prep. I think he was on the card. Was he not on the card? Wasn't he meant to be on the card anyway? No.
No, it was a Riyadh season card. So he had the 5 fights, and he was literally brought in. Yeah.
What I mean is, he didn't have a full camp, did he? Right?
No, he had 10 days.
And he had Josh Kelly in all sorts of trouble. He'd cut him. He was gassing. He was running out. He's got a really good engine. The problem for me is Fawaz has never expected to get to a certain level. Yes, it's his world title fight, but let's not forget he's just had 2 blood and guts wars with a novice prospect. Yes, he was highly touted, but Junaid Bostan's fought no one and done nothing. It's a prospect. And he's now drawn and lost with Bilal Fawaz, who's 37, veteran of age, not in fight experience. I just think that it's possibly going to be the caliber of fighter too much too soon for me. I think he may box for the British and may win a British, but I just don't think that Ishmael Davis is going to take his foot off the gas. I think Ish will get a shot, either at a European or a world. Not next, but down the line. I think he's upped his levels in terms of preparation and camp, and he's now more of a professional. Ish wasn't able to be a full-time professional up to 12 months ago. So I just think that as much as I'd love to see Fawaz win it for the story, but I also want to see... I'd love to see Ishmael Davis just deal with him and off next.
Yeah.
I disagree, Ryan, but see why.
Ryan's got Fawaz for the upset. I'll kick off with the predictions, guys. Jay, everything that you just said there, I echo it completely. Look, I think it'd be a great story if Fawaz can do it. I think all of us, even you, Jay, who knows Ishmael Davis, would
be so happy for him, even though I'd be gutted for Ish.
Yeah, we'd all be smiling if Fawaz can do it, like we were when he beat Junaid Boston, and that's not because we're wishing ill will on Boston. It's just because it was such a great story. Lloyd's in the building. He's got a late stoppage here for Ish. Big up, Lloyd.
Lloyd.
I think Ishmael Davis will win it on points. Look, Fawaz isn't a big puncher. Yes, he had Boston hurt, but he's not known as a big puncher. 3 finishes in 10 wins. Ishmael Davis has got 5 or 6 knockouts in 15. Volume, pressure, all that kind of is where Ish thrives. But I think that he'll, like you said, Jay, more seasoned. Yes, he's 7 years younger, but he's fought Josh Kelly, Boachuk, all of these.
Troy Williamson, Jacko.
Yeah, exactly. He's fought these, and it's just going to be a little bit too much seasoning for Bilal Fawaz. So I think Ish will win it about 8-4. But look, like you said, if he's not on it, Fawaz is going to be a tricky customer. But there's a difference in English level to British and fringe European level, which is probably where Ish is at right now. So 8-4-ish for me, boys. How have you got it?
I have to, sorry, Liam. I have to. I said this online last night, so I've got to. Bilal, if I ever meet you, brother, don't ask me to throw down with you, because I'm not about that. But I think Ishmael's going to dog walk him. I think he's going to beat him up, and I think his corner will pull him out, or the referee will stop that fight mid between rounds 5 and 7. I think Ishmael Davis is going to put a whooping on him, and I think he's going to stop him, irrespective of 5 stoppages in his amount of fights. I think the levels will increase, similar to Troy Williamson. I know he went up divisions, but look what he did to Callum Simpson as he's going up the levels now. He did it with Dickinson, knocked him out, and people said, but Dickinson dropped his hands and he was stunned. All right, so he did it to the champion. I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see more from Ish. I think Ish boxes within himself. I think he holds cardio and goes through the motions and goes through the rounds. I think he's going to believe, not that he doesn't believe in himself, but I think he's going to believe what some of us believe, that he is levels above. Again, no disrespect, Bilal Fawaz, and I will graciously humble pie with clotted cream on Sunday morning if you beat him and be the British champion. But for me, I just don't think he's good enough, and I think Ishmael Davis stops him between rounds 5 and 7.
Look, it's a great story on both sides, isn't it? What Ishmael Davis has been through, what Bilal's been through. And as much as I said, what I said at the start about how, this is Bilal's world title fight, if Ish isn't on it, I do just think he's not quite at that level, is he? We've seen in performances from Davis that he has the potential to be European fringe world level.
Yeah.
Bilal Fawaz, as Jay hinted at, had life and death with Junaid Boston, who is still a prospect who may go on to achieve world levels, but at this current time is too green. And, the second fight was close as well. We take the mick out of his reaction, but it was also a close fight. So which tells you everything you need to know. I'm in a similar school to Jay. Cagey maybe for 3 or 4 rounds, but then we'll see Ish move through the gears. I'll go for a wide points decision, but a late stoppage where Bilal's pulled out by his corner wouldn't surprise me either.
So we've all gone Davis, haven't we?
Yeah, we've all gone unanimous and still then for the co-main event. We've got one more to go. Mario Barrios versus Ryan Garcia. We'll cover that one in a few minutes. Lloyd, Ryan, thanks for joining. Jay, Liam, has always been a pleasure.
Thanks.